It's actually kind of crazy because as a landlord, I deal with people who don't have a lot of money. I used to invest in these areas that were really not well off. And you kind of see this pattern with like the language of the poor. People who are never able to own houses, like people who have struggled paying rent, this is their language, the language that they speak. And it's interesting because when I talk to them, I have to change my entire mindset. When I talk to them and engage with people who are from this mindset and or from these places, if I'm out in the wild and I see people like this, I have to mirror match because I can't come at them the way I would come at someone who is equal to me in terms of financial success and mindset, right? This is a different mindset. This is the mindset of someone who is consistently poor, and it's a language. The language that they speak is very, very reactive, as in things are happening to them and they can't do anything about it. It's this constant mindset and thus language of saying things like, well, you know how it is. I've never paid a living wage. Well, you know how it is. Inflation is just out of control.
I will agree. Coming back to the U.S., inflation is out of control. And this is somebody who is pretty well off. I don't really need any help from, external sources, the government, besides the VA check that I get every month. But coming back from Panama and looking at, for example, meat prices was a shocker for me because I went to the store the other day and I bought a couple things, like 3 bags worth of stuff, and I bought a couple meats, and it literally came up to $113, and I was like, Jesus Christ, this is a little bit out of control. I will agree with her on that. That is a mindset that I used to have, though, that things were happening to me and there wasn't anything I could do about it, and I've had to work for years on changing that mindset because there are a lot of people who believe that the system has the control over their lives. And I'm not saying that the system doesn't have control over everyone's life to an extent, because obviously we have laws, we have regulations, we have everything that we have pertaining to our country. But you can always get out of that. It was the reason why I was always so against, able bodied people from receiving food stamps, and I'm still against it. I'm still against able-bodied people from receiving unless they have children who simply, are have some sort of medical condition where they have to be taken care of 24/7. Then I can understand that. The elderly on SNAP, I can understand that. But if you're like 20 something, 30 something, and you don't even want to work 20 to 30 hours a week, you know, I don't think you should be receiving the help because you don't want to do anything for yourself. Why should we, as the taxpayers, do something for you? You have to want to help yourself before others can help you. How's the saying go? You can give a man a fish and feed him for a day, and you can teach a man to fish and feed him for a lifetime. But what if you teach a man how to fish and he doesn't want to fish? Then he's got to starve because you taught him a skill. And he doesn't want that help. He'd rather you keep giving him the fish every day. Well, I can't give you a fish every day. Sorry, brother. I can't give you a fish every day. I can't, because that's just, I'm doing the work and you're taking that fish away from me and my family. I can give you a fish one day when I can afford to give you a fish and because I'm feeling generous to give you a fish, but I can't give you a fish every day. Especially when you don't want to work for it. You don't even want to come help me fish that day. If you come help me fish, I'll give you half the fish. But you don't even want to do that. So, but I understand where she's coming from. But let's continue to listen to what she's saying.
I'll never be able to afford whatever. It's always like this negative, and I always have to mirror match, even though I totally don't agree with any of it. It's just hard these days. I'm never going to reach those things. Nobody can. It's impossible. I literally have to totally. Yeah, no, I get it. Like, how could anyone survive in this current climate? I can't say the truth.
Yeah, because if you tell them the truth, then they feel personally attacked. They feel like you've done something to them personally. If you tell them, hey, look, maybe you're just being lazy. And again, I'm not saying that there aren't problems with the system. I'm not saying that there isn't problems with inflation at the moment. I'm not saying that rents aren't out of control. I'm not saying that the housing market isn't out of control. I'm not saying that there isn't problems with the system. I'm not saying that there isn't problems with inflation at the moment. I'm not saying that rents aren't out of control. I'm not saying that the housing market isn't out of control. I'm not saying that there isn't problems with inflation at the moment. I'm not saying that the housing market isn't out of control. But you can't control what you can't control, so then try to control what you can. Every day, instead of taking your sweet time after you get off of work and turning on the TV and binge watching a show, watching 2, 3 episodes of Real Housewives of Atlanta, why don't you take that time to read a book? Why don't you take that time to learn a new skill? Why don't you take that time to do something that's going to improve your life? It may not be today. It may not be tomorrow. It may not be next week. It may not even be next month. But eventually that work that you put in is going to pay off. I have a book that I want to show you guys, and I'm not saying I'm the perfect example of it, because even I struggle to actually implement the teachings of the book. But if you're looking to self-improve, this is a book that I think everyone should read. I'm back home now, so I have access to the very small collection of books that I have. But this is a book that I recommend everyone read. Atomic Habits. What does it say here? Tiny changes, remarkable results. I think this book and a host of other books can help you change your life for the better. Instead of watching Real Housewives of Atlanta every night, spend 20 minutes, 30 minutes reading one chapter every night, 2 chapters every night, and start applying the changes little by little. Again, I can't say that I'm perfect. I can't say that I have mastered the teachings of the book, but that book has significantly changed my life and my mindset too.
I can't say the truth. Well, actually, here's what you can do. Well, actually, here's what you can do. Well, actually, this is what you... I can't be that person, because that's not what they want to hear. They don't want solutions. Solutions are just more problems, because it means that they actually have to take action and change the way that they think and the way that they act. It's much easier to just be consistently victimized, because once you're a victim and you're really comfortable being a victim of your circumstances,
blame everything else.
That's your identity.
Yeah.
That's your language. That's how you talk. Right? I see it all the time with job seekers, people that are angry at recruiters. I'm a recruiter by trade, and I see people all the time be like, well, recruiters never get back to you, and all the jobs are given to the immigrants, and all these H-1B holders are taking all the good jobs. Like, that's the language. That's the language of the have-nots. Right? So when you hear that language, you can all you can say is,
I'm going to have to disagree with her on that, because we know that there is a huge problem with companies in the United States actually hiring foreign workers for much less money than they would American workers. It is much easier for them to do that than to hire American workers, especially when you're someone who spent 4 years actually doing something like she said, which was, do something for yourself, which is go to school, right? You go to school to get an education, only to be outbid by the lowest bidder. Not even the highest bidder, the lowest bidder. You get outbid by the lowest bidder, which is some guy from India who's willing to work 60 hours a week for $50,000 a year, instead of an American who's going to work 40 hours a week, wants work-life balance for $70,000, $80,000, which is what the job really should pay, right? So the companies win on both ends. That one I can't agree with her, because again, she's saying instead of doing something, you're making yourself a victim. No, you did something. You went to school to try and get a better opportunity. You spent 4 years in school getting a better education, and now you can't get a job. That was the doing something. Now, obviously, you have to continue to apply for jobs. It doesn't stop there, and you always have to try and keep bettering yourself and making yourself marketable and learning valuable skills. But no, we do have a problem with the H-1B stuff right now in the country.
Pat them on their back and be like, I hear you, and move on, because they will never, ever see or do anything about it. They will never see solutions, and they will never take action to solve their own problem. This is a poverty of the mind. This is what it really is.
I think she made some really great points. Again, I agree with most of what she said. The one thing I didn't agree with was the H-1B problem that we have in the United States, where all these companies rather hire foreign workers instead of American workers. And it's a shame, but she is correct in that most people, they just don't want to better their lives. They want to be poor and be victims, because if you're a victim, you can blame your circumstance on everyone and everything else but yourself. Because if you're a victim, it's not your fault. You never victim blame, right? So if you can see yourself as a victim and tell others that you're a victim, they can't really fault you for the things that are going on in your life, even though you have full control of bettering your situation, right? But that's all I got for this video, guys. I want to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. If you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with your friends. And if you like what I do here and you want to support my work, I have links in the description box below. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.